Welcome back to Track Talk. We're going to be doing a game of 1889. This is, in theory, going to be a live game, and it's supposed to be very fast, 2.5 hours or earlier. We'll see if that actually happens. We're not off to a great start here, kind of pausing at the start. If this really is 2.5 hours, it'll probably be one of the faster 1889 games I've ever played. So I expect there to be quite a few errors, but maybe it'll make it a more entertaining video. In terms of players, King Zombie's leading us off in the auction. We played with him before. I think he's been on the channel several times. A fairly strong player. Thorndor, Caffeine, I don't know. I don't know that they've been on the channel either. And then, of course, I'm rounding us out for the last position in the auction. So just while we wait here, if you're going last in the auction, obviously your moves or your decisions are strongly impacted by the other players in front of you. But I really want to make sure that I don't allow King Zombie to get a quick pull. So I may end up bidding on his private to disincentivize him from just taking Takamatsu and getting, whatever he bids on for face. If the other players do that job for me, it gives me a little bit more flexibility. I guess the corollary to that is that if I'm King Zombie, I may be tempted to bid in one of the first four privates and then just hope that it all kind of lines up and I'm able to get two privates at face. Dugo is a private I like quite a bit. I would not at all object to him starting on that. Mitsubishi also can be strong, but I think that the strategy of running this with the TR is a little bit of a trap. Would like to see someone take the Mitsubishi and start that with the AR. That would be an interesting game. I don't think it's good, but it would make an interesting game at least. Um, I imagine we won't be seeing that. The Ime Railway, it's very mediocre private. Um, Nothing exciting about it, but a decent value. And then Sumitomo, uh, probably about the same. In a slow game, you can see this come out and become relevant. It really changes the way the map develops in a slow game, but there's no guarantee that that will be the case. You may never get to lay any mountain track at all with this. So King Zombie going for the Ime. Again, probably hoping to go pretty early in the list of privates so that he can get an early pull. Thorndor is taking Sumitomo. Two privates I don't particularly value. And right now it's looking like I'll probably be going on the Ime just to block King Zombie's pull. Hopefully have an interesting auction. We'll see if Caffeine goes for something. He goes for Dugo. So I think this probably obliges me to pick Ime. Not excited by that. I could also just take South IO and then hope that King Zombie pulls and we just get a fast ripcord. That would be, I think I'll do that. If King Zombie pulls here, someone else might pull on Mitsubishi. I get the South IO for face, and I'm safe from the Uno Takamatsu. So let's do that. I think this puts King Zombie in a little bit of a rough spot. He could potentially be tied for least revenue um, with Thorndor, or actually with Caffeine, I suppose, because Thorndor would win by the Mitsubishi. And I'm not entirely sure how that would leave the Uno Takamatsu. So he doesn't pull, but he does go for the Mitsubishi. He's kind of daring someone else to pull. I think this is okay because presumably one of these other players is going to block him or block someone, and then I can pull and get my South IO and Takamatsu. That would put me over the $95 limit to float, but my revenue will allow me to float in stock round two, and I will have good private revenue, so I'm not too upset about that. Somebody did pull, so it looks like Thorndor pulled. If we just go back for a second, um, I went too far back. So Thorndor pulled. He gets the Sumitomo for face, but he gives King Zombie a pretty big gift here. This means Caffeine and King Zombie are going to be fighting for the Uno Takamatsu, and I am safe. So it looks like King Zombie will end up with the Uno Takamatsu, or probably should end up with the Uno Takamatsu, because I don't think Caffeine is under any obligation to buy it here. So that's bad news for King Zombie. Maybe he miscalculated in the auction a little bit. Although, to be fair, I'm not sure that you could have anticipated Thorndor pulling there. Um, I guess it's reasonable. I think you probably could have seen this coming. So King Zombie should have pulled or probably bid on Thorndor's private here to protect himself, but he didn't do it. Caffeine's passing. I will, of course, pass, and King Zombie, I think, has to pick this up. Wouldn't be the end of the world for him to pass here. He's only $5 behind, which he does. Okay. Well, so he's just basically giving everybody else money here. Me and Thorndor are tied at 20 bucks each, so we're not pulling ahead by much, but we are pulling ahead. I don't imagine Thorndor pulls here. Yeah. So it's just going to be a game of chicken between King Zombie and Caffeine. Kind of degenerate play pretty early here. This is not going to be the difference between floating and not floating for whoever buys the Unitakamatsu, but it will help me get a higher par. If we go enough times around, of course, someone will buy the Unitakamatsu, but it's going to be another probably like 3 times before I'm tempted. King Zombie has passed again. This is pretty wild. Yeah, I don't like this. Soon people are going to be able to float for very high pars. That may make this game pretty fast. You see an explosive train rush. I guess I should start doing the math to figure out what my number is to actually buy this Unitakamatsu. It's got to be pretty high, though. I would like to float. So Caffeine actually buys it. That gives me priority, which is fine. I'm surprised that King Zombie got away with that. I really don't think it was Caffeine's duty to pull the Unitakamatsu. So whenever I play this game, I'm always talking about how I like the SR and the KO. I'm debating whether or not I want to change my strategy here, but I don't think I do. If I float first, I could potentially take the KO, which is the company I prefer. Take that from the SR player. So I'll do this. And I could float high. I run the risk of the SR floating above me. I'm just going to take the KO for min. If somebody wants to float above me, it makes it easier to buy my privates. So I think I've made the SR much less attractive here. We should be seeing 3 companies float. The AR is not a great starting company. The Mitsubishi could be seeing King Zombie go for that with the TR. That would be a hot start, which is what he does. And it looks like I'll be just a few dollars short of buying one of his shares, but I can buy it in the next stock round. So I'll be probably looking at the TR. He's going to be floating after me, so if he buys 3-2 trains, which I'm anticipating he will, we will be seeing him open up threes. So interesting, the SR player does float ahead of me. There's no guarantee that this is safe for him to do. He's going to have a hard time manipulating turn order here because I will have more cash than him in stock round 2 as a result of his higher par. So I may be able to just tank his shares behind the KO to snag the Kotahira tile. And in fact, Caffeine is buying my shares, so I can actually hold on to cash here and definitely stock manipulate. The problem is he's also bought Thorndors, so unfortunately he's going to be able to hit me back on the KO. I was neglecting to account for Caffeine here. Well, my plan was to buy a TR. I think I stick with that. And we'll see if the SR wants to play nice with me or if I'm able to manipulate turn order at all. I would love for the KO to operate ahead of the SR, lay an unfriendly Kotahira. We may see a quick green here, so even an unfriendly Kotahira isn't the end of the world necessarily. We got to make sure that King Zombie doesn't get too many runs of these 2 trains. So we may have to buy more trains than we want to pressure that. Caffeine's going to be a while before he can float, I think. SR's up. Imagine he lays the Kotahira. So I do have an option of saying, well, you can have Kotahira until green, and then just lay toward the offboard. And I could pressure Maragami as well. Say he needs to decide whether or not he wants to lay Kodahira or upgrade me out of Maragami. That might be the play. I'm assuming that green's going to break here. I think if he buys 2 trains, it's a very safe assumption that green breaks before my next operation, which will give me an upgrade into Maragami. So I think I anticipate laying towards Maragami and then just upgrading and tokening in Maragami at the next operating round. So he bought 2 trains. I will do that. We're not going to compete for Kodahira. I'm just going to ride his coattails. And I will also buy 2 trains. That will allow King Zombie only 2 trains instead of 3 trains, which is what I think he wants. He can still run the same track. Is he going to be able to bind his privates very easily? He will. I've been put in a little bit of a hard position here. I want more than 1 2 train. But if we think this is going to be a fast game, maybe I don't want more than 1 train. Makes my company a little bit less attractive to other people too. I'm going to buy just 1. I may regret that. But this will make it a little bit harder for him to buy in his privates at least. I was not expecting the SR to float ahead of me. I understand why he did it. He wanted to get the jump on Kodahira. But for whatever reason, I was anticipating him floating either the UR or the IR. So TR taking advantage of the port as expected. And we will see if he buys all of his trains. I have made it a little bit harder for him than he may have expected, which is why I did it, of course. If I am unable to get into green, which seems unlikely, I will be forced to lay that DIT and run for just 40, which is not going to be great revenue, but again, it disincentivizes other people from buying my shares. So he bought just 1 train. This is interesting. This is going to allow everybody to buy their privates into this OR probably. There's 2 trains left, and there's going to be a little bit of a game of chicken. Interestingly, the SR with 2 trains actually cannot buy anything, cannot buy into his privates. So it may fall to me to buy into my privates, which is going to make this pretty brutal. If I pass here, I will be going second in priority. Nobody else can buy any trains or buy any shares. So I can either go second or last. I don't think the revenue of the SR is worth losing priority over. So I will pass. And I expect we'll see the other 2 players pass as well. Actually, King Zombie is just selling my share. I'm being trolled. And buying an SR. The revenue is not that different, but of course this means that I have lost priority. Thorndor, he buys that share, so I don't even get advantage of the cheap share. Oh boy, this is really not working out well for me. Caffeine may go back and buy a share now. He's going to be going third to, what is this? No, he'll be going second, it looks like. So he passes again. Now, do I care about going third or second to last? Hard to say. Probably not. I guess the decision is third to last or last. Unfortunate. These players are not playing the way I expected. Not necessarily that they're playing bad, just not the way I expected it, which makes it hard for me to predict. I still think the SR revenue is not worth it, especially because high chance that it's going to be sold down before I have an opportunity to do anything with it. So 1 payout of like $50 is probably not worthwhile. What's he actually going to be running for? 60. Yeah, so he's running for 100 actually, a little bit worth, but unfortunate. So I don't have green, and I got in trouble in that stock round. Not great. I don't think he's going to buy any more trains here. He can't run them, and he can't buy his 3. So actually, that sale does help me. I was not paying attention, but that changes operating order. So King Zombie is actually operating ahead of me. And now he has to decide whether or not it's worth it to him to try and buy into the threes. Because I probably will be. So am I going to get a jump on them in terms of capital? Okay. Well, gotta lay this for the revenue. I could lay up to here. If I laid towards Naruto, I could start the AR, but this UR is looking very tempting with all this track laid for it. So instead, I think I will lay this, run for my piddling 40 bucks. And then if I withhold this, nobody else gets any money. Do I need this cash? I think I will need it. So buy all my trains, buy in this for 160. That'll leave me with 110, which is not 120, but that's okay. With my private income, I'll have enough. So this is still an attractive company. I have to be careful that somebody doesn't steal this from me. And we're into the next stock round. So if I sell the TR, I will be close to floating, but not quite there. I may very well lose the KO if I'm not careful. Caffeine is selling out. Looks like he's going to be floating ahead of me, which is anticipated. My withhold may have made him... he's actually $1 above where he needs to be. My withhold was almost devastating to him. That is interesting. So now, if he takes the UR, what do? I may just buy paying shares. He took the UR. That's annoying. So if I buy paying shares here, there's a high likelihood I end up with priority. And the 2 trains probably not going to rust. It's a lot of 3s, and they want to buy in their privates. So I think I can just buy my cheap shares here and then hope to float in the next stock round with priority. Okay, we'll buy my cheap shares. Everybody else has cash for 1 more share. So I'll be buying shares at a $5 deficit, but not the end of the world there. They'll pay for themselves. King Zombie's buying his TR with a single 2 train, not that impressive. Thorndor buying his cheap SR, so I think I will also buy an SR here. And I should be pretty close to using all my cash. Caffeine's going to buy his second to last share, so it looks like probably my last share. I'm going to have 1 share left over of capital. That's a little bit annoying. I'll buy another SR. It's going to have the highest revenue. I could buy my KO, but the $20 hit is going to be too painful for right now. And I should be leaving with priority. So I'll be looking at maybe an AR float. Depends if the SR plays friendly and then tokens in Takamatsu or not. Speaking of, who owns the Takamatsu? That is the SR player, so he controls my home tile, which is a little bit painful. I'm going to pass, giving myself priority. Painful to sit on $70, but I do want to make sure I'm running 2 companies in this game, so I need to make sure I don't end up with a KU. Into the stock round. Let's see what the SR does. Unfortunately, the way things have worked out, he has the opportunity to token, or not token, but block me at Marugami, which may be what he does. I have enough money to give myself multiple runs, so he does block me. And this is going to force me probably to upgrade Kodahira. This will give me... Ooh, am I going to be in a position where I have to token Kodahira? That is not ideal. Yeah, the way this is working out for the KO is pretty bad. I think this is why people tend to float the SR instead of the KO, because of this exact situation. Um, so if I token and upgrade Kodahira, I will have 3 runs, which I may need to stay in this game. I hate the Kodahira token. It's really, really bad. If they rust my 2 trains, then I have a much easier decision. I'll just be running a 3, and I'll probably just upgrade into the offboard for the run. And it's looking like my 3 may very well rust. UR might pick up 2 3s here, and then the TR buys a 4. Probably be a mistake to do anything else. Interesting that he lays towards Kuchi. This is giving the Uzu token to TR if he wants it. Yep, and he buys 2 of them, so my 2s are going the way of the dinosaurs. This is going to be a rough game for me, I think. Let's see. Ime is owned by TR. Yeah, so this is a mistake from Caffeine, I think, because TR is now going to get control of Uzu and be able to upgrade it to a one-hole city. I think the UR needed to secure that token. Doesn't need to lay the track that TR is going to lay. He would have gotten that track for free. TR, and he actually buys in his private. So the UR is going to be dumped, which it probably should be if it lost out on the token on Uzu. The only problem for King Zombie is that if he tokens, then buys in his privates, it'll be kind of hard for him to also afford a 4 train. He actually doesn't token on Uzu. What is that about? Why is nobody valuing that tile? That's interesting. So now with just a 3 train, I can pay and upgrade Kodahira. That'll be fine. It'll be my best run at least, and I won't have to token it. So TR rethinking his move now. Actually not running towards Uzu, probably worried about losing out on the token there. But he could just take the token, so I'm not really sure about that. So question is, do I run to an offboard or do I upgrade Kodahira? I will upgrade Kodahira and just take the consolation prize that at least the SR wasn't able to run it in its first operation. So I pay that out, and I'll be stuck with a single 3 train for a while. Not a great position. 3 trains are pretty good, and I only own 1 of them. Everybody else is running 2 trains. SR going to be doing the slow march over to the IR home, I assume. But if he lays too much track for the IR, I may be able to just take advantage of it. And does he token encode here to get 2 runs out of the 60 value revenue center? He might. I wouldn't be too upset if he did that. It's throwing away a token, and I am a minority investor. Instead, just going to sit on his token for now. Probably the right move. Running for 150, he pays it out. And does he have privates still to buy in? I think he does. Just the Takamatsu. So he's blocking me. I'm being trolled. Not buying in the TR. And King Zombie has bought in his private, laying a single hole on Uzu, bypassing the DIT. And is he going to drop a token there? I think you have to, right? Yes, he does. Okay. So running his 4 train, we'll have pretty good revenue there. Running for 130. And we are onto the UR. UR with 2 3 trains sitting pretty. Can just upgrade this tile here, which he does, to get a run for both of his trains. Pays for 190. So my revenue is going to be by far the worst in this game. I think I may have to start withholding, honestly, to try and push trains. What am I going to be floating for? I have $200 already and 3 shares to sell. All the shares are $70 or $75. So I can float pretty high even with a payout here. I think that I will prepare for the late game and lay this. Not going to be tokening Kodahira. Submit that. Pay it out. Leaving yellow, but easy enough to withhold. And may see someone sell my share for me. Won't be buying any trains, no companies, and I have priority. So need to sell before everybody else does. Obviously, this SR is being sold down. And we will sell the TR as well. If I sell one of my KOs, I can float for 100. Question is what company to float. And I think that, unfortunately, with the AR or the Takamatsu being controlled by the SR player, the AR is not a safe start for me. That's temporary, but the token could end up here as well. So I think I have to go with the IR. So let's sell one of these and then float the IR for max. Don't love this position. If the IR and the KO are able to get tokens on the same city, potentially, what is it, Saiju? Saiju or Nihama, you can cut the map in half, but it seems unlikely with the TR and the SR also gunning for tokens in this area. We'll see how that works out. I think that definitely maintaining priority in the last stock round was important because it gave me my choice of companies to float. King Zombie buying one of my KO shares. So it seems like people are prioritizing this company, even though it has a single 3 train. It's probably going to be withholding to stay in yellow. Thorndor will have to sell the float. I think he probably needs to. He's in a much better position around the AR than I am. AR is not a bad company when you have good synergy and friends to lay track for it. He could probably float it for pretty close to max. And then Caffeine would be stuck with the KU if he wants it, which is almost always a mistake. He might just be forced to buy paying shares. Fortunately, with King Zombie buying my cheap market share, it's going to be hard for someone to steal my company. KO has been a little bit of a dog this game, but I'd still like to maintain the presidency. So he does take the AR, and he sells a KO. So potentially could leave King Zombie in a position to steal this presidency. I don't know that he can afford to do that. Run a split presidency with very little cash in either company. It sounds dangerous. And I think we're at a stage in the game where we need to start thinking about 5 trains. I am unfortunately operating ahead of the AR, which potentially means that we will see him get the first 5. But if he gets a 5, who's getting the other 5? Nobody's in a good position unless that KU floats, which we see happen. So I will just work on floating my IR, and then I may try to do some shenanigans where I sell an IR to operate later. Unfortunately, the other players are in just as good of a position to counter with that. Looks like King Zombie is diversifying his funds, so he's dumpster diving, buying all the cheap shares that have been sold down. Very reasonable to do it. But he's going to be a one president player, which is a little bit weak. So I think my play here is to hope to operate after the AR, the KU, in the IR. The problem being that the KU really doesn't have any obligation to buy trains, so he could just sit on this company. The other players also have the option of shuffling money into their other company by buying a train across, whereas if I do that, I'll lose a run. So a little bit of a weaker position for me. I do not like the position I'm in this game. I don't think it's been strong from the beginning. Probably going back to my decision to float the KO instead of the SR. I think it's a very different game if I end up with the SR. So far, everything going as expected. People are just buying their shares. King Zombie going back for an SR share. Does have good revenue. but needs to be a little bit careful he doesn't get dumped on here. So if I buy my IR here, I think I sell next stock round or next go around and see if the other players are eager to follow. Since it's a 50% float, I am in theory leaving this presidency vulnerable, but it's going to be hard for anybody to take it over. King Zombie in theory could, which is a real danger. So am I happy operating first? I'm not happy operating first because I will end up with 1 4 train and then potentially the other players will just stall the game out and sit on their 3 trains to my 2 trains, in which case I'll lose. But if I sell here, can King Zombie take this over? Without a doubt, he could. He would need 5 shares. And there's no guarantee that I get anything worthwhile by selling because everybody else can just sell after me. I think I'll pass, unfortunately. I'm going to be stuck buying a single 4 train and just hoping I can pick up a second 5, or the third 5 probably, unfortunately. At least I have priority. I'm up, so I'll let King Zombie upgrade for me. And I'll buy the 4 and just skip for now. I probably could have bought 2 4s there and let the AR buy the 4 and the 5, but then that's the KU get 2 5s. He would have to run 2 5s out of the KU, and he's train locked to the UR, so that actually would not be the end of the world. And then who would be forced to break out the 6s? It would be King Zombie, which he would have to do. Sitting on just 1 4 train single presidency, he's going to fall behind. Well, I'm not going to undo it now, but that may have been an idea. Imagine we'll see the AR come down to Takamatsu, and then the SR and the AR will cooperate with one another for either a token in Marugami or further west. Try and split my 2 companies apart. I'm not going to make it easy for him to do that, though. We'll try and prevent him from doing that. Even if I have to token in Marugami, I'd rather have the ability to run west than get cut up. So now he has to decide how many 4s to buy. If he buys just 1, well, he's going to buy just 1. But that gives the KU the ability to buy the first 5. And then we're much more likely to see the 6 come out, I think, because the trains will be distributed a little bit more equitably. He doesn't technically have to buy anything here, but I think he would be falling back too much if he doesn't buy a train. He could have bought a train across from the SR. That wouldn't be unreasonable. He has some parasites in the SR. I think it's mostly King Zombie. He's only got 40% to King Zombie's 20%. So buying a train across from the SR and running it in the AR instead would be quite reasonable, actually, and just stall the game that way. I think he would still be running ahead. King Zombie with the TR doesn't have incredible runs with just a 4 train. So, and just looking at priority, I do have priority. There's no dump opportunities, but at least I'll be able to pick up some cheap shares potentially. I don't know what my path to victory in this game is. I think I gotta hope somebody else makes a mistake. My runs are not very good, and I don't have good trains. I think the other players are just going to out-earn me. And in terms of shares, I am tied for last. There's a 3-way tie. King Zombie's 1 share up. I think I'm in a bad position. I think Caffeine's in a bad position. Just being the KU president is just no good. 5 train does come out. That means I'll get one, which is good. Probably want that in the KO. Maybe the IR would be okay. So now King Zombie is in a rough spot too. He's going to be sitting on 1 train to everybody else's 3. KU debating whether or not he wants to buy the 5 here or not. He does open up rounds if he buys it. Could also just shuffle a train out of the UR or just pause and not buy anything. If he buys a train out of the UR, he could then buy the 5 into the UR, which would be much stronger. Yeah, so that's what he's going to do. We got to make sure this KU doesn't get suitcased. He did lay track for it, and King Zombie brackets him with his tokens, so he can lay the upgrade here either direction. Should be impossible to suitcase that as King Zombie's paying attention. So we will see a little bit of a stall here. That's bad news for Caffeine. He has missed out on a bunch of tokens, and he's now splitting his trains, buying them across the operating order. Just really not great. So I think that probably Thorndor is in the strongest position here. He's got high revenue, good tracks, good 2 companies, and he can just let the game slow down and win it if nobody pushes trains. But I imagine we'll be seeing Caffeine buy into the 5s with his UR. Doesn't change things all that much. Does give me access to Brown before the SR gets access to Brown, potentially, which would be quite nice. So if I could get a token in, well, I can't double token. I was going to say if I could upgrade my Origami, sneak a token into Nihama, and then double token Nihama with the IR token, that would be nice. But I think I might have to settle for a Marugami token with the KO. And then the IR's got to get a token in Ozu or Uejima. Probably Ozu. The KU suitcase has been broken, and actually broken by its own president, so he wasn't even trying. Fair enough. I mean, he's going to have to run 2 companies to have a chance in this game, I think. Do we see the 5s come out? I think we will. And that means I should be able to get a 5 in the IR, which I'll buy across into the KO. KO will have good runs. Can double tap Kodahira. The only question is am I going to try and yellow strategy the KO? Might have to try and have a chance in this game. I'm really nowhere near my cert limit. And if I pay out twice with the KO, I'll be not yellow. Could always pay out twice, buy a share, and then sell it to stay yellow. I don't think I'm going to have enough cash to take advantage of yellow shares. I'm not going to have enough cash to buy as many shares as I need. You are debating whether or not he wants to buy into the 5s. I think he certainly has to. I guess he doesn't have to, but he probably should. I think the SR player is going to win if he just stalls here. So that's not the right move. Get train locked with $750, not buying a 5? That's crazy. What's that about? He still opens the 5s up. Okay. So I have no track to lay as a result of that head scratcher. Not laying any tokens. This is really good news for the AR SR player, unfortunately. So I lay here, and I need to be careful that I don't get my tokens cut. So I think I token in Nihama, and then hope that the TR player upgrades Nihama and also tokens there, cutting out the SR. That seems reasonable for me to expect. Run my 4 train. $100. I'll pay that out. I'll buy the first 5. Crazy that I'm in the position to buy this 5. I don't know how that happens. AR should be linking up with Takamatsu. I imagine that we'll see Takamatsu upgraded and the SR player leaving that untokened, and then he'll try and get a token in Marugami with the AR or something like that. At least he had to lay some expensive track to do it, and that helps the KO. So I think I need to get 2 trains into the KO and then buy that cheap yellow share. We'll see what happens. Nobody's really running away with the game. It's pretty tight. I think Caffeine's out. He just hasn't played very well, and he's the KU president. I think I'm pretty close to being out. This is probably going to come down to King Zombie and Thorndor. I think Thorndor is a little bit ahead just because King Zombie doesn't have a second presidency. KU running a 3 train. Should probably just upgrade his home here. So if we are correct in our assumption that Thorndor and King Zombie are ahead, probably Thorndor is the strongest player. How can I work to catch up to Thorndor? He's train locked. Don't really want to invest in his SR. Has good routes, but may be on the hook for a 6 train. I may see him start withholding if people split this presidency up too much. Could buy the AR. AR with 2 trains, has token money, will be pretty good. So this is kind of bad news. King Zombie tokens in Matsuyama. I don't get that. He secures a run into the offboard but loses out on Kodahira. So we may see the SR upgrade and token in Nihama. Probably should do that. And that will then mean that I token in Marugami with the KO, which is bad news for his AR. He could also get greedy and try and token a Saiju, but I'll open that up to 2 whole city for him. There should be a X tile still available. So he does the Nihama token. All right, so I get half of what I was hoping for. And then my KO token's got to end up in Marugami, I think. Otherwise, I'll lose out on a run into Kodahira. Unfortunately, I shot myself in the foot by laying this bypass. So the Marugami token actually becomes a little bit less valuable. I think I still lay it though. Where else am I going to lay it? Nowhere immediately, obviously. Immediately obvious. So this UR player, tokening in Ozu, why? I don't think I'm his competitor. I've already used my token. Yeah, okay. Rethinking that. He would just be hurting his KU. Yeah, that would have been a bad play. I'm glad he's rethinking that. He's got runs for his trains. He doesn't need another token. Can just hold on to his tokens. So he's got 700 something dollars in his company. And because of the way he's been playing, we actually have a 5 in the market still. This is very strange. He's rethinking things. Pays out. KO. I think I upgrade Marugami for a run into Kodahira that doesn't involve the DIT. And I think I token that. Doesn't hurt the AR, but I needed that to make sure that I can run 2 trains into Kodahira easily. Submit that. Pay that out. And then I buy my train out of the IR. Do I want a 4 or a 5? So the 5 train run for the IR, potentially pretty good. So I think I leave the 5 train in the IR and just buy the 4 across for 92. All right. So 2 trains in the KO, good runs, cheap share. I think I buy that. That seems like the best move. The SR share is available as well, but my company's a little bit better, so I'll buy that market share. Only going to be 1 share for me. King Zombie has a ton of cash, which means I'm going to be going second to last in priority almost certainly. But fortunately, my one saving grace is that he's not going to be able to exceed his cert limit. He's going to have 3 or 4 shares more than me, though. His dumpster diving strategy is paid off. And he's investing in the UR. UR has decent runs, not incredible. I think Thorndor buys his SR here. Yeah, he does. Okay. Caffeine. He's buying the UR for a little bit of arbitrage. Okay, fair enough. I can buy the TR and then trash it, but it won't affect its stock price. I think that would be short-sighted. I think I just need to buy the cheap shares. So this is the best value in the game. Also makes it a little bit insecure for King Zombie to own. So everybody's going for those UR shares, gonna be floating up. This is rough. King Zombie's gonna hit his cert limit. He's gonna be like 4 shares ahead of me. He may just be able to make an insurmountable lead here. Caffeine hasn't pushed trains, so well, I guess even pushing trains is not going to make a huge difference here. I'm really surprised we still see a 4 here. I still see a 5 on the market. That really should not be left. Caffeine going back for a TR share, which he buys off the IPO. That's strange. What about the SR? I think we'll see the SR also float up. King Zombie and Thorndor are going to split this presidency. Oof. So King Zombie buying an AR. AR's runs are okay. Does have good trains, but that's an expensive share. I'm really surprised he didn't go for the SR there. I imagine Thorndor will go for his own SR. Hurts to buy your market shares, but at this point, I think he's just looking for the cheapest shares he can afford. Thorndor also buying a TR, and then Caffeine selling out of the KU. So he's going to be able to buy more shares. That's smart. I didn't really think about him doing that, but I think it makes sense. And I'm a huge fan of this because it probably means I'll leave with priority. I'd love for him to do some trashing of other people's companies. Hopefully not mine. Maybe it's greedy of me to expect that. Going back for the SR, I'm forced to pass. King Zombie probably is going to be going for SR here. Surprised we didn't see that earlier. Unfortunately, with the status quo as it is, King Zombie should win this game. So somebody's got to change up the calculus here, and it's not going to be me. I just can't afford to hurt myself to rush trains and push trains. I don't know that anybody obviously can. This is incredible. Why is nobody buying these SR shares? They're buying these expensive shares. Are they just going to trash share value? I guess you could do that. I don't think it's worthwhile. I think King Zombie is in a position where he's going to win. He doesn't have to waste time trashing shares. I'm very surprised to see these SR shares not being bought. And now he's going back for a KU. Oh boy. He could steal that presidency, but that's just a liability. $1 and a 3 train in the KU. Nobody wants that. Even my KO, you take a $10 hit, but it's gonna be running great. I don't know what these players are buying here. It doesn't make sense to me. This is not the way I would play if I was rich. There we go, KO share. And I think I'll be leaving with priority. So I should be able to hit my cert limit in the next stock round, but I'm going to be so far behind King Zombie at this point that I should just lose the game. Bank shouldn't break here. The runs are too low. All right. So I think I just upgrade for some cash here. No tokens for me to be worried about going on Saiju, and then run my 5 train. Gonna pay that out. I could withhold and buy a second 5. That would be interesting. Let's do that. Yeah, that's fun. I don't know that this is going to win me the game, but boy, that's pretty powerful. That might be enough to win me the game. It's painful to withhold, but um, sure, let's do that. The UR cannot buy the 6 until next stock round, so I'll get at least one run out of these. And then that's going to put Thorndor in a rough spot on the SR. So maybe that's what people were looking at. They were expecting me to do that. That's why they didn't buy the SR. It's so foreign to me that the 5 train's available. I wasn't expecting that. AR, which is 1 tokens, runs are not going to be very good, so it probably needs the token. Takamatsu has much better runs now. Well, I'm excited for these 2 5 trains. This is going to be great. And if the trains do get pushed, at least I have 2 permanent trains. Unfortunately, King Zombie's still in a position where he's going to win this game because he has a 4 train, so no train liability for him. Is he in a position to be dumped on? He's going second in priority and doesn't really own any of my shares, so no. I think that's the one way we could see someone come into this game. All right, I think I'm looking at a second or third place finish here. I didn't even see what TR did. He just upgraded Saiju. Both the 5 prong cities are taken, so it'll stay green. But that will help my run. So my 5 run's going to be 2 runs out of Imbari. And then we'll see if Kodahira gets upgraded. SR is going to be running a bunch of trains into Kodahira with the AR and the SR. It may be worth his while to upgrade that. I know he doesn't want to pay the 80 bucks, but at a certain point, you gotta stop worrying about the nickels and dimes and look at the long term. I think I would upgrade it here. If you're hitting it with 4 trains, it's a massive increase. He's spending some time thinking about his options here. Upgrades Takamatsu. That's fine. KO loves that. And I think my priority here is going to be to get a gentle curve into Kodahira, so eventually when it's upgraded, I can double tap it. Or at least get access into it with the IR. Pretty massive run, 290. Everybody's pulling super far ahead of me now as a result of my withhold. Hopefully that 5 train pays for itself. I think it was the right move. If the 6 train doesn't come out, which maybe it won't, I may have a glimmer of hope here. King Zombie has not invested in my companies, and I'm going to be running very well. And he has a single 4 train. So I think maybe I'm actually hoping the 6 train doesn't come out, because I don't think it helps. I don't think it hurts King Zombie. And it will hurt me in the KO. Market bank is not going to break, I don't think. If the 6 comes out, it definitely won't break. I think even without it, it will not break. So he's withholding. He doesn't need the cash for the 6. Why is he withholding? I don't know. Well, if it hurts King Zombie, I'm for it. King Zombie's got a target on his back in my mind right now. Not the player personally, just in the game. So I actually cannot lay the track that I want here. They've both been consumed on the west side of the map. So I think instead I will upgrade 2 holes for Tokushima, and then I got to figure out my routes here. Running this DIT is painful. So instead of upgrading that, I can actually upgrade this and get a better run. So yeah, it's min-maxy to do it, but I don't want to just give away this game. You can watch as I struggle to run my trains. Question is, should I be withholding on the KO? And the answer is I would love to have yellow shares, but I don't think it's going to be enough for me to win the game with so much withholding. I'm $500 behind the leaders, and um, I'm so many shares behind. Exceeding my cert limit is not going to be an option for me to come back in this game. We do see the Kodahira upgrade, which is great for me. I'm able to run that with all of my trains now. The IR is still unable to hit that because of the lack of tiles here. So unless the TR or unless TR upgrades one of these tiles, which I don't know why he would, I'm going to be out of luck. TR running for just 180. So I think I have to upgrade here and then try and get this upgrade later in the game. Could see the SR drop this tile and then I could upgrade that. He doesn't really have too many options otherwise. I may see that. I don't know what else he'd be looking to upgrade. He might upgrade this to get a run into the offboard through Kodahira for one of his longer trains. Could also just pass track. I mean, he doesn't really need to do anything. Yeah. Okay. So I think my IR is going to upgrade this tile here, and then I hope to have that available for the next operating round. He's running for 310. Interesting. So he's not going to double tap Kodahira. He doesn't have the track for it. He would have the track if he laid this, just saying. Maybe he'll think about that. That would be really nice if he did that, from my perspective. SR is withholding. Love to see that. And I think I do this upgrade here. Don't want that upgrade for the KU player. And then I got to figure out my runs. So my 5 train I think is pretty good. And I'm only going to be able to hit the 60 value city once, unfortunately. So I have to hit the DID as well. This is not a great run. It'll get better, but a little bit anemic right now. Really need that run into Kodahira. You are in a position to buy the 6 now, which is bad news for the KO because the KO is going to fall back trainless. Oh, no, it won't. It has a 4. Okay, a little bit better. Then I'll buy a 5 out of the IR and be pretty safe. Nobody's invested in this KO except for me, really. Okay. So this works out nicely for me. I don't think it's enough to get me in this game, but it probably gets me second place. I think King Zombie is still secure. Nobody's going to be in a position to bring out this D train, I don't think. And if somebody does bring out the D train, he's going to just fall on a 6 probably. Because the 6 train comes out in the UR, and then potentially the SR tries to get the upgrade for with his 4 train. And then that leaves a D available. Looks like the 6 came out a little bit later than it probably should have. This is not going to be a great D-train map. It's been cut by multiple companies in multiple locations, and there's no existing track in the southeast here. Going to be expensive to start building that track in the late game as well. So not a great D run. This does extend the game though, by removing trains from it. So do I have a path to victory? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm $600 behind King Zombie, and I don't think anybody's in a position to rust his trains. So we'll lay that track that I was looking forward to. And the KO now is not forced to hit the DID anymore. So we'll just run this. And if I buy the 5 train over, does it make sense? Do I have the track to run the 5 train? So my 4 run, I don't think I do because I'm tokened out at Nihama. I would have to hit this DIT. So do I want to run 2 5 trains in the IR still? Probably. I can always buy it over in the next operating round. Yeah, so I think my play here is to pay out, and then withhold on the KO here, buy all my shares, and then sell the KO down into yellow. Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm getting too far ahead of myself. I'll just try and have as much money as I can. That way I can potentially take advantage of a yellow strategy, which it looks like I probably will be in a position to do. Um, let's just take a look at the spreadsheet for a moment. Did I make any ground on King Zombie? I did, about $70. So this is working out okay. Um, he's $500 ahead. I might be able to catch him. I think Thorndor is out now that that 6 train came out. And caffeine's been eliminated for a while. So just by process of elimination, I'm creeping my way up, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to catch up. AR running for 400, really, really good revenue. Got to look at those shares for sure. May see that change actually though, because he could just buy the 4 train over into the SR instead of pushing for a D train. TR revenue is looking really bad. He's only running 1 train. So this game got extended. His strategy may falter, may come up short. Okay, great runs for the IR now. I don't think there's any track left for me to be laying. I guess I could potentially lay this for the offboard. Do I want that though? I don't know that I want to give easy access to the offboards. I think I need to start thinking about how to block D runs. There's not any obvious track that I need to be paying attention to. Who has tokens still? The UR. Okay, this is supposed to be a fast game. I don't want to overthink this. I think I will throw this track away here, and then I need to run my 5 trains. So 1 5 train is going like that, and then the other 5 train is going to double tap here. So I have incredible runs. 470, pay that out. And does it make sense for me to move my 5 train into the KO? I think it does not. I'll leave it in the IR for now and hope to incentivize other people to invest in the IR and then buy it into the KO for the last operating round. Hopefully they'll make poor decisions in their investments. I'll just buy the KO shares, it's cheaper. Stock appreciation is a factor here. The IR is appreciating much more than the KO, but if I buy a train over into the KO, its runs are going to make up for that. UR, I missed its runs, is creating a loop potentially relevant for a D train, running for just 210, which he pays. And then the SR is in a rough spot here. Could try an emergency buy a D train, put King Zombie in a rough spot. Alternatively, could just buy his 4 over and then work to the upgrade for the D train. He probably could get the upgrade before the 3rd operating round and potentially force Zombie to buy a D train since he only has 1 company. I think if he force buys the D here, he's lost. Because he'll rusk Zombie's train, but he'll go into the stock round with very little cash. And King Zombie will be able to buy all his shares that he wants. So probably the wrong move is to buy the D here. Probably has to shuffle and then try and bring it out later. So he buys the 6. I forgot that the 6 was available. Okay, also valid. So we will not be seeing a D train. And we'll see if that means I'm able to win or not. Any more track I need to be laying? Could just upgrade this. I don't know that I want to though. I don't think there's any interesting track. This doesn't help me. But if I want to run my 5 train through there, it could potentially help me. But I'll let someone else do that. I don't want to lay a track for other people. So if I withhold this, I could potentially get into yellow with a sale of a share, which could become relevant. But I worry that I'm just falling too far behind. This will put me within $400 of King Zombie, I think. And we are not going to be seeing a D run unless somebody force buys it. King Zombie's at cert limit. Okay, I'm not going to do it. I'll pay it out. I think there is an argument to be made that I should have tried to get into yellow with the KO. But I really need the cash for shares. The shares are getting quite expensive. Looks like $100 pretty much minimum. And in terms of shares, I'm not going to buy my IR because I have a secret strategy here to make the IR less attractive. Hopefully people will buy my shares. But I think I will buy an AR. AR is running for 440 and has nice stock appreciation. Yeah, let's buy the AR. Question is, what is King Zombie going to sell here? He needs to rework his portfolio a little bit. Should certainly sell the KU. That's an obvious one. That gives him a share. And then I probably buy the AR. He does, yep. Okay. So I'm $400 behind King Zombie, and I was running for 70-ish dollars more than him in the last stock round, which means that he's going to win as things stand unless my portfolio is able to come back from the dead. I will be gaining a lot of shares relatively to him in this stock round, so it may be possible. It'll probably be close. I think Thorndor is probably out. Maybe not. He's still a contender. Caffeine's buying the IR, so he's kind of taking my bait, I think. I'm not going to buy the IR, I don't think. So what should I be looking for? I could buy my KO here. Could buy the SR. The SR will be pretty good. I'll buy the SR first. And I think King Zombie is going to be selling a share here, maybe the UR. We'll see what he wants to buy. He sells the KO. Interesting. Okay. At least it's ledge, so it's not hurting me. That's good for me because remember the KO is going to be running for a ton, so he's taking the bait as well in the IR. The fact that I didn't buy that share should have given these players pause. They should be suspicious. So everybody is going for the IR. They see that high revenue and are attracted by shiny things, rightfully so. And I think it's going to end up being the right decision for me not to have put my KO in yellow because the only shares I'd be able to buy with that is the KU. So that's not exciting. I will go back and buy my KO, I think. Might as well buy the IPO. So that seems safe. King Zombie can't buy his own TR, and I don't think the other players are going to want that. So I will get a TR share and then probably a KU share. All right. King Zombie's portfolio looks okay. I don't know that he needs to readjust anywhere. Thorndor should probably buy my KO here. Hope he doesn't buy a TR. I'd hate for the TR to sell out, and then I have to end up with 2 KUs. So he does buy a KO, great. As long as I can end up with at least one of these TRs. Caffeine buying his KU. And I will buy a TR. Oh, Caffeine rethinking things. Something's being redone. Not entirely sure what's going on here. Caffeine is selling a KO. What is going on here? All right. Buy a TR. King Zombie probably continuing to pass. Thorndor, he should buy a TR, and then I'll be left to buy a KU. So my KO is not going to be floating up. That's wild. I guess Thorndor could focus on the KO and float it up, but I don't know why he would be looking to do me favors. He doesn't know that I'm going to be buying the train over. I guess I should look at this and make sure that I can run trains with the KO efficiently. So a 4 run with the KO from the offboard into Nihama, and then a 5 run through here. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. So everybody's buying the KU, which means I get another TR. Okay. And I have to imagine that I will be safe to buy this share. King Zombie could, in theory, dump it on me. That's not going to be possible. Okay, that's fine. So King Zombie's shares are floating up, and my KO is not floating up. That does mean I have 60% of the company to King Zombie's 0%, so definitely want to shuffle a train over there, and hopefully that'll be how I catch him. Caffeine. Thorndor has put the KU into yellow. That's a mistake. What is that about? That lets King Zombie potentially buy a share above, but instead I will buy a share above. Thank you for the yellow share. Why did Thorndor sell that? What is he looking to do? I guess he could buy a KO, but I don't think anybody wants to buy these $100 KU shares. For all we know, he's withholding. So Thorndor, is he going to go back and buy the KO? I'm confused by that sale. He does, but now he's at his cert limit. Caffeine, he's sold out. No shares for him. So I think we'll just be seeing everybody pass here. All right, so I'm 2 shares above King Zombie, and my companies are better than his. Let's see if that's enough for me to win. King Zombie should be passing. Don't imagine he'll buy a KU. Thorndor. What did Thorndor go back and buy? How's he at his cert limit? He bought a KO, but I don't float up. So I lost money in this stock round, $80 compared to King Zombie. All right, it's gonna be close. I will say that. Bank's definitely gonna break. I don't think anybody can bring out the D train. That's what I was talking about. So instead of me upgrading that, the AR is forced to. AR is going to have good revenue, and King Zombie has a share on me there. TR, no real track to lay, and not going to be withholding. So should just be paying out. Could upgrade Coochie. I guess doesn't want to because he's not running that track. Okay. Probably doesn't want to do anything that would potentially extend the game since he's going to win as it stands. You are just laying kind of random track. Doesn't really help anyone. He, on the other hand, really should be laying Coochie. He is running that track. Instead, he's laying track to nowhere. Pays for 210. I guess I'm a minority investor compared to King Zombie, so I don't want the good things for the UR. My run looks optimal. I'm hitting 5 revenue stations. I could actually hit Imbari twice, so that was actually not optimal. Little mistakes like that can cost you the game. So we'll pay that. That's the last time the IR is going to be doing that, though. And just looking at the market, looks definitely like it's going to be breaking. And we'll just see if the KU wants to try and withhold for the D train. I don't think he can do it in time. He would have to withhold, then emergence, and then force buy the 6, and then do the upgrade into the UR. Maybe that's what he'll do. I think I win the game if that happens. No track for me. Maybe I'll just start laying track to dissuade any D runs. Running my 4 train, pay that out, and then I'll buy a 5 from the IR. This is going to prevent me from falling back and also screws over all the IR investors. So let's see. I think the KU withholds and then buys the 6 out of the UR here to get the D train upgrade. That's what I'm anticipating. We'll see if that happens. He does. Okay. So $600 and 160 in the UR. Not going to be enough for the upgrade. I don't know if that's going to dissuade him from doing it. He's out of this game, so if he doesn't do it, he loses either way. May just see some king making though. If he were to do it in this stock round, this operating round, he would screw over King Zombie, who would lose a run on his 4 train. If he doesn't do it this round, though, King Zombie will get all the runs he needs. He doesn't operate before him. So it looks like this game is going to be over in operating round 6.3. If we look at the spreadsheet, I was running for only $50 more than Zombie, so I've lost. And actually, Thorndor is running ahead of me. How's that happening? AR is just running so well, I guess. AR and the SR, that combination. Okay. So it looks like I will probably end up in 3rd place then. Well, there was a glimmer of hope. At least it was potentially interesting for a moment there. But unfortunately, I was too far behind to come back. This has proved to be a fast game at least, so that's nice. TR continuing to pay out. UR, this is his moment to shine. Could force buy the 4 out of the KU and rust the 4s. Wouldn't be enough to extend the game, but it might be enough to put me into 1st. Let's see if he's interested. No, so I think I've lost. Okay, no track decisions for me, but I do have a slightly different route here. I think I can hit both 60 value cities. I can. So that's a pretty optimal run. And is the bank broken yet? No, but it will break this OR. Surprised that we haven't seen Coochie upgraded. Surely the UR player should be doing that, right? Can hit a $30 port instead of a $10 port if he runs in that direction too. All right, so there is a little bit of a decision here. I need to figure out how to run this 5 train. I think we had already decided our 4 train run was going to be this, which means the 5 train, I think, is unfortunately hitting a dit. There we go. Nothing more than that, I don't think. I'm just taking a second to look at my runs. I think, unfortunately, this track ends up messing with my run. Okay, KU. No options for him to bring out the D, at least not in time. And did the bank break? Not quite. KU. Just laying random track with holding again. What is this guy doing? I'm regretting buying that KU share. And looking at the spreadsheet, I'm $100 more than King Zombie, but $100 behind Thorndor. Thorndor may actually edge King Zombie out here. That would be interesting. I've been focused on King Zombie, but Thorndor might be able to take it. I wasn't anticipating his revenue being, or his income in this operating round being so high. Just watching the company's last runs. Okay, nothing for me to do here. And I think I actually don't know. We'll just have to see. Thorndor is almost 100 behind King Zombie and running for almost 100 more, so it's going to be very close. Should be just a few dollars in between the two. And I will be, it looks like, roughly $400 behind the leader, give or take. Not the biggest margin of victory, but because this was a pretty fast game, I guess as a percentage, it ends up being pretty significant. Last run for the KO, and still nothing to do here. Pay that out, and then the KU. I guess he'll get his D train upgrade, which is worthless. Does he withhold again? Yep. And there we see it. Okay, so if he had done that one operating round earlier, I think I would have potentially won. So I lose by 350 bucks, and Thorndor does take it. Congrats, that was well played. I thought that he was out, but I was forgetting that the 6 train was available to him. So he was able to withhold just enough to snag the 6 train, and then his revenue is enough to give him the game. Well played. King Zombie played well. I thought that he was going to win the game for most of it, as I'm sure you're tired of hearing. But just gets eked out in the end. And this early game was just really rough for me. It was preventable. I should have played better. But getting blocked at Marigami and then being forced to run the KO from Takamatsu unupgraded for a while, just really slow start for me. So I definitely should have started the SR. The way the 5 trains broke was really strange. I think that gave me a way back into the game. That's probably the reason I ended up being closer than I deserved. Um, so I can't complain about that because it's helped me, but it wasn't the right way to play it. And then this auction was just a mess. This should not have been allowed to occur. How many times did we go through revenue? So 1 revenue pay, 2 revenue pays. Yeah. I'm not sure why King Zombie didn't buy the Una Takamatsu here. It ended up being okay for him. He came in second and probably was a very close win even with this. I'm not sure what his rationale behind not buying the Una Takamatsu was. Caffeine bought it and came in last place. I don't think the reason that Caffeine came in last place was because he bought this private. He had quite a few mistakes in this game. But a bad auction and then a bad decision for me in stock round 1 to float the KO instead of the SR. I think this game will make me reevaluate the relative strength of the KO a little bit. I've traditionally been a big fan of it, but getting blocked is pretty powerful. Yeah, I think Thorndor played well. Him leapfrogging me and in operating order with the SR float was smart. I think it won in the game. Okay, well, we will do some additional live play in the future. Hopefully these videos are worthwhile. I do play games other than 1889, even though it seems like I only play 89. It's just hard to work up the energy to do a live play of a 6-hour game, and 89 tends to be pretty fast. This was a fast game. I think we did do our 2.5-hour goal. It was actually only an hour and a half. That's really fast. All right. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll be back in the future.